what did you learn of yourself in The Last Jedi that you didn't know before in The Force Awakens?
I did feel personal pressure actually going into The Last Jedi because The Force Awakens had just come out like a month before, and so I was sort of dealing with, firstly I'd never been in a film before, so a film I was in came out, and then it's a Star Wars film that had come out, and then, you know, people are like, hey, and I'm like, hey, what did I do? And they're like, oh no, you're in that film. I'm like, oh yeah, and it's like, it's a lot to take in. And because I knew what people had responded to in The Force Awakens, in particular my relationship with John, Rey and Finn on their adventure, I think that was my nerves, because I thought, oh, if this is the way people are responding, I don't know what I did the first time round that's made people respond like this, and people are so kind, but I don't really understand it, so I don't know how to do that thing again. And if I'm not with John at the beginning, I don't know how to do that, because he was like my support network the first time round, him and Harrison, but John in particular. So I felt nervous because I thought, oh, is this going to do for people what the first one did? Will people respond as strongly to this story as they did with that? And then obviously we were able to have some rehearsal. We sat down and we talked through a lot of stuff. And then you realise, yes, it's a challenge and different things happen in the galaxy, and that's what's exciting, and that's how people grow. And so those nerves went away, but I did feel that very much, and I cannot remember the second part of your question. I'm so sorry. No, I don't feel the personal pressure because I'm not Rey. Like, she's way better than I am. I'm just really lucky to play her. I don't have the fate of the galaxy resting on my shoulders. I'm just in a film that makes people happy. Yeah, and I think I don't feel that pressure so much. I think it's really lovely, and because it really was a surprise how people responded, I'm still blown away by how kind people are, and especially when parents are like, I took my daughter and I could get her the costume and she's so happy, and like little boys want to run like Rey, and like that's incredible. There's nothing, it's overwhelming, but there's nothing scary about that. It's just kids being kids. It's just, it's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
Rey has such empathy. It's so easy to relate to her, and she's sort of analogous to my character because she came from nothing. But we shouldn't forget that Carrie, even though she was royalty, was no shrinking violet. She wasn't a damsel in distress. The thing that when I read the script, I thought it was so funny. First, she complained about the ship that we came to rescue her in, which is so human. And then she was dissatisfied with our rescue. You called this a rescue? And she grabbed our gun and made me and Han look like chumps. So that was effortless feminism. But it's great to see it continue. And like Ryan said, to see these young girls all done up like Rey, it's really heartwarming. You know, now they have Wonder Woman, and it's, you know, Sigourney Weaver and Aliens, and Linda Hamilton and Terminator and so forth. But it's a great thing for the empowerment of female characters.
Every Star Wars fan here in the front. Every Star Wars fan love you and show you that love and respect to you. So, do you have any interesting and shocking story that happened to you with the fans of Star Wars of all these years being Luke? And for Daisy, we don't know who is the family of Rey, and we don't want to know, but I don't want you to tell us. But if you could choose as a fan, what would you choose, Skywalker or Kenobi?
Well, I'm sitting right here. What's she gonna say? Listen, just in general about your question about Star Wars fans, what is amazing to me is the passion they have and how they've incorporated the mythology into their own lives. And you hear these personal stories of getting through, terrible times in their own lives. You know, it helped when my sister was in the hospital, or I met my husband online, and we had by the sequel we had a young child and named it Leo or whatever. It's astonishing. it never gets old, and I'm just sometimes moved by the fact that they have taken us to heart, and you know, I don't encounter it on a day-to-day basis. It's usually when I come to fan events and so forth, and people tearfully recount how important these films are to them. Because, you know, at the end of the day, they're 2.5 hours of escapism. But as I've learned over the years, it means so much more than I could have ever imagined. And the idea that I was a small part of something that made so many people so happy, it's just the greatest gift I could have ever been given. Now, back to the Skywalker Kenobi question.
The thing is, anything I say is going to be, you know, more weighted now. What I think is really amazing, because again, because I didn't understand exactly the impact of Star Wars, I didn't fully, like when Force Awakens came out and everyone was like, oh my god, who's your parents? I was like, oh, like I was genuinely surprised that was the main question, because for me, like getting into something eyes wide shut sort of thing, what I found so amazing in The Force Awakens is Rey meets Finn, and they've never met before. He's a defected stormtrooper, she's a scavenger, and then we're like brother and sister, and it's an amazing connection. And in that moment, like Rey finds a piece of family, and before that she's met BB-8 and she finds a piece of family, and then she meets Han Solo, she finds a piece of family. When she's finally with the Resistance, it's like, this is sort of where I belong, and then off she has to go on another adventure. But essentially Rey is seeking belonging, and so obviously a lot of Star Wars is looking back and wondering where she came from. But I think the wonderful thing, especially about this film, is it's all about progress and the relationships people are making now, and obviously things are influenced by what you had before. But I just think it's beautiful, the relationships that are formed with people that aren't even necessarily, that wouldn't be classed as family, but family is who you choose. I think you can choose to love people and bring them into your home and make a life with a group of people that have no blood relation to you.
Yeah,
so whatever I say now is going to be taken. So in this film, Rey turns up and essentially has a quest from someone else for Luke. It's not really about her, she just has to do this thing that she's sort of been asked to do. But because of the space that Rey and Luke have on the island, she's able to ask questions and seek guidance from Luke. And in that moment, again, Rey finds a relationship of sorts, regardless of whatever that is. It's a relationship of sorts, and I think that's what's so wonderful is the people Rey meets. It's like she's so open, like she's been alone for so long, but she's so open to like finding connections with people, and she's not met a Kenobi, so Skywalker.
Hey kid, maybe you're solo. That's my Harrison Ford. I have to announce my impressions when people get there.